Hey everybody, Dave here with Wags Automotive again, and I'm going to work on the Roadrunner today. You guys remember I had it on the bottle the other day. It was kind of drunk. But yeah, we got to take it off the bottle because it's not really much fun to drive your car down the highway with the hood up like it is now. So we're going to take it off the bottle and we're going to fix what's underneath there. So let's go underneath. I got a light and I got it jacked up in the air. Let's go underneath there and look real quick and see what we got going on underneath this thing. And before we get underneath there, safety is always third for me most of the time, but if I'm using jack stands, which I don't like these rickety ones, I got heavier ones, but these rickety ones are okay, I guess. But one safety tip I can give you guys is if you're gonna put a car on jack stands, let me get down here. Okay. If you're gonna put a car on jack stands, put it on the jack stands, let the jack down, and then leave the jack underneath the car as kind of added insurance for, if it fell off the jack stand, I'd rather it damage the car than crush my skull and squish my brains out of my ears. So yeah, I'm good with that. So anyhow, just make sure you're safe when you're working underneath the car. But all right, let's go underneath here and look at this thing. I got a light under here. We can see it a little better today. Okay, so we got, back this thing up a little bit if I can. No, back, dummy, not forward. No. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. Okay, so we got the fuel tank, and we got 4 lines coming off the tank into this contraption up there, whatever that rectangular shaped thing is. And then we got 1 line coming out of the top of it to a line on the going down the the frame rail, and I'm assuming that's the line that feeds the engine. Now, I don't know what this box is, but I had one guy comment and tell me that that is a vapor canister. They put it on the back of the car instead of up under the engine. So maybe it is, but we'll get it off there and we'll take a look at it and see. Okay, so it's always fun to work on these cars in this situation, because when you're cutting fuel lines, I got 4 there and 1 here I got to replace. When you're cutting them, you always run the risk of either drinking gasoline or getting it in your eye or ear, so you got to kind of be careful. But I'm not going to be able to do this one-handed, so I'm going to have to stop the video, cut all this off, pull it off, and then restart the video. And as you can see, let me get up in there a little further. As you can see, this thing has got the factory original clamps on there that are like swedged on. See, you can see that one there really good. So it's like a swedged on clamp. It's a one-time use clamp. I mean, I could probably pry them open and possibly reuse them, but it's going to take me forever because I got what, 10 clamps that I got to pull off of here to get 5 hoses off. So it's going to be a nightmare. But anyhow, let me get these pulled off, and hopefully I won't have to drink any gasoline today or put my eye out with it. You're gonna put your eye out with that thing. Oh wait, that was a BB gun. Never mind. Yeah. So let me get that apart and get this vapor canister off there, is what they're calling it, and we'll take a look at it. All right, I'll be back. Bye. Okay, guys, I'm back. Laying under here in my cardboard creeper, and we got that thing off. Let me give you a look inside here. So what I did is I just cut the hoses with a pair of wire cutters. Just cut them because they're junk. And so I got all 5 of them cut, got that thing out of here. And here it is over here. So it's like, I don't know what it is. I mean, it's like a little canister type thing. It's got 1 hose coming out the top and 4 hoses going in the bottom. And I'm not exactly sure why anybody back in 1973 thought they needed 4 hoses coming off the fuel tank, and then 1 going. I'm assuming this actually probably goes up to the carburetor, and the vapors are fed into the carburetor, would be my guess. One's along the frame rail. Okay, so that's what that looks like. It's got kind of like a swedged, if you can see that, kind of a rough thing right there, that rough texture. I don't know how well you can see that, but let me flip it over, see if it's any better. Well, no, not really. I don't know, maybe you can see it, maybe, yeah, there you go, you can see it. So I guess they kind of like rolled this together rolled it together and welded it or something. I don't know. It's kind of an interesting looking thing. But I was also told that most of the time these were removed from the car, so if you can actually find one, they're kind of valuable, but I don't give a crap. I'm gonna put it back on there and whoever buys the car can have it, so make it more original. All right, now let me show you something else I found while I was up here, because I was looking at this, and like I said, I've got 4 lines there and 1 line coming out of the top of that thing to here, and I was noticing that's a looks like a 5/16 line. Well, then I looked over here on the frame and I was like, wait a minute, that's like a 3/8 line. And oh, wait, it runs back along the frame there. So, and if I look up there, there's the 5/16 line. So this is a 3/8 line. So if I take my light and put it back there where we can see what we're doing. There we go. Now look at there. So that 3/8 line comes back along the frame right there, makes a U-turn, and goes into the tank on the side here. So now we got 6 hoses to replace instead of 5. So it's kind of hard to see up in there how this goes. There's a, let me see if I can look it up. There we go. So that goes into the tank. Oh, and look, I think, oh no, I thought I saw a hole in the line, but that's just a shadow. That's just a shadow with the clamps. So that goes into the sitting unit. There's a wire to the sitting unit. So this is the line that feeds the engine. And it's not damaged, so I'm not sure why this thing died unless those vapor lines would keep it from sucking fuel, which it possibly could, I guess. But anyhow, so I got to get up in there and replace that, and it's going to be fun to do because I got this 2.5-inch freaking exhaust running all the way back from this pipes, X-pipe, full stainless steel X-pipe system on this thing. You see that? Somebody paid a lot of money for that. Ceramic coated headers and X-pipe exhaust, 2.5 inch all the way out the back. So it's kind of nice. But anyhow, so I got to get up in there and I got to pull that fuel line out too. So that's going to be a more fun job. So anyhow, let me get this going and then we'll have to replace all these lines. But all right, I'll get to it. We'll get back to you. Okay guys, I'm just laying here in my cardboard creeper chilling out. Let me show you this fuel line that was going to the sitting unit. Okay, so luckily I had a clamp. You can see where it was clamped right there on this exhaust pipe. I had a exhaust clamp right here and this pipe was clamped to it, and I was able to take that off and get a little bit of play in this pipe to be able to move it. So that helped me a lot. But here's something. Let me get this light back up in here so you guys can see what I'm looking at. Here's something I think is really kind of cool and just shows the originality of this car. So I took this 3/8 fuel line off of here, and look at this. There's a ground strap that's clamped to the pipe here, and it goes across and over to this side, and it's clamped to the pipe right there. So this is a ground strap that connects this pipe to that pipe by ground. That's kind of interesting, and I guarantee you that this ground strap here is probably worth some money because I'm sure most of those got thrown away too. So that's kind of cool, but it just shows the originality of this car. Trying to get up in there where you can see it pretty good, but just shows the originality of this car with that ground strap still in place. And of course this tank, you know, you can tell by looking at it, it's most likely original. I don't know what it looks like on the inside, but I'm going to put a hose on the line that goes into the tank and blow through it just to make sure there's nothing plugging that up. I don't know, any of you guys, can you tell me if there's a sock inside this tank? Because if there is and it's plugged up, well, then I'm screwed. I got to pull the tank. But hopefully not. But anyhow, we got all these lines off of here, and check this out. I got all these original clamps. I got them off without breaking them. Now on the 3/8 fuel line, there's those two. I did break one of them, but I'm going to put worm drive clamps back on those. I don't like them. But I think I'm going to try to see if I can save these and reuse them. I don't know if I can or not, but if I can, it'd be kind of cool. Plus, I don't have to buy clamps. So let's see if I can get those to open up enough that I can reuse them. All right, I'll get back to you guys. Keep watching. All right, guys. Well, believe it or not, I was actually able to get those 10 factory clamps straightened out enough to reuse them. I'll show you what I did. It's pretty cool, actually. And I've actually got 5 of them already installed. So here's the, whatever this contraption is. And you can see the clamps are back on there. There's 5 of them. I got 5 more right there. So what I did is I took this punch and I stuck it in them like so, and then put this in a vise, facing downward in a vise, and just tapped it with a hammer until they slid down the pin punch or taper punch, I guess, slid down it, and when it got down to this hexagonal part here, or octagonal, it opened them up enough that I could slide them over the hose. So yeah, I got the other 5 there. I managed to get all 5 of these on without breaking them. One of them got pretty tight. I probably shouldn't have got it that tight. And they're not perfect, but hey, they're on there. And these are all vapor lines anyhow, so I don't know why in the world Dodge thought they needed 4 vapor lines coming out of the tank and 1 going up to the front of the car. It's just kind of weird, but I've got that thing set up to where I can put it back in, and then I'll have to reach up in there. And so what I did is I got, when I got them on the hose, when I got the clamp on the hose, you see it's got this little notched area there. So I take a pair of, well, I don't know how I'm going to do this one-handed, but I take a pair of wire cutters and just open them up, and then I'd stick that in there like that, and just squeeze them and squeeze that together. That's how I tighten them back down. So anyhow, I gotta put this in and attach all these hoses, and then I gotta reach up in there with my pliers and try to tighten those 5 down. So I got that done, you know, and I got all new lines on that. And then up here, I did replace the 3/8 fuel line that runs from the tank to the frame. And when I put this hose, I put it on this side, and I blew into it, and it blew right into the tank. I could hear air in the tank. But I'm really glad I took my mouth off it immediately, because as soon as I stopped blowing and took my mouth off, gasoline came running out on the ground. So I know it's got flow, and I'm really glad I didn't drink some gasoline, because I'll probably head to the hospital if I did. But anyhow, you can see I did use worm drive clamps on those. I don't really want to use anything else on a line that has actual fuel running through it. So, but that's got a brand new piece of 3/8 fuel line there with worm drive hose clamps on it. And I left the I don't know, there you can see it. The factory ground strap is still on there, so you can see the clamp there and there. So it's still in place. So I'm gonna keep working on this, and we'll get going on it. But the sun's getting ready to go down, and it's Saturday night, and it's almost Halloween, and I got a friend who wants to go do some haunted houses. So I'm going to quit for tonight, and I'm going to go do some haunted houses. But I'll be back. You know, you guys won't even know I was gone. Hope you're enjoying this video so far. I really appreciate you guys for watching my videos, you know, for watching them and you know, seeing my content. You know, this old Roadrunner's for sale if anybody wants it, but it's a cool old car. And I don't know if it's true or not, but I had a guy listen to this thing run, and he could tell how good it ran, and he said he thought it might be stroked, a stroke 318, and I looked online, you can buy stroker kits for them. So is it stroked? I don't know, but I tell you what, this thing runs. One of these days I'll have to get out here and just show you how much power it's got once I get the gas lines fixed, obviously. Anyhow, guys, I appreciate you watching. Have a good night. Go do some trick-or-treating, or not trick-or-treating. Go check out some haunted houses yourself tonight. So have a good night. We'll talk to you soon, probably tomorrow. All right, bye. Hey guys, I'm working on this Roadrunner today again. I got the fuel line all hooked up on the tank. I'll show that to you, but let me crawl underneath here and show you a couple other things I did while I was under there. Just trying to make it. I figure while I'm under here, I might as well fix a couple things that were needed fixing. Oh! So we'll crawl down under here and take a look at what I did. All right. As you can see, well, let me show you this first. There's the fuel lines all hooked up, and I used the old clamps. I just pinched them back together with a pair of wire cutters. They pinched up pretty good. And there's the one that comes from the top. Of course, my actual fuel line. But then my rear end was leaking. My rear end, that doesn't sound good. My rear axle was leaking from the pinion seal. So I popped the pinion off and replaced that seal. And while I had it apart, I decided I was going to clean up at least the center section. I haven't cleaned up the outside because I got new leaf springs to put on it. But I cleaned up the center section and painted it so it looks nice. And looked at the gears, and I want to show you something while I'm in here. Let me show you guys this. So, I've told you before that this car is a low mile car, right? So if you look, see if I can get this thing to rotate the way I want it to rotate. Trying to get it to move. Okay. All right. Now if you look at the carrier assembly, right in there where the bolts are, you can see it looks nice and clean the way it should when you pull the cover off, right? Okay, now if y'all rotate this thing around, let me rotate it around here. I want you to notice something here. Where's it at? Okay, there it is. Now if you look here, you'll see a little bit of rust in there, okay? But you notice the other side didn't have rust on it. Well, the reason that's like that is because when a car sits for a long period of time, all that oil runs off of the gears and it runs down into the bottom of the case. You know, down here in the bottom of the case, down here, it runs down in there and sits along the bottom. And of course, it's about half full of grease. So the bottom part of this gear would be immersed in oil and the top part would be exposed to temperature changes and condensation. So over time, there was a little bit of rust buildup on that carrier from this thing sitting, because like I told you guys before, this car's got 23,000 original miles on it, and it sat from about 1975 till about 1999 without being driven. So during that time, this part of the carrier was exposed. It was facing up, and it was out of the grease, and it was exposed to condensation, and it got just a little bit of rust in it. That ain't gonna hurt anything. I'm not gonna mess with it. It ain't gonna hurt anything. But I just wanted to make you aware of that. That's just another way to show that this car sat for a long time without being driven, because the way that looks like that. So anyhow, just wanted to show that to you. And I also have got a real nice brand new chrome cover to put on that, so that's gonna dress up that rear end a little bit. All right, guys. Whew. So I gotta get this thing together, get the rear end cover on it, get it filled up with grease, and then I gotta run the engine with a bottle again until I get fuel to come out of the fuel pump, and then I can hook up the fuel line. Hopefully we're good to go. So let me get it together, and then we'll mess with it at the front end and see if we can get it to start and run. But it's got all the fuel lines on it now, so that should have eliminated that problem that I had before. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Keep watching this video. I'll keep making additions to it. Talk to you later. Bye. All right, guys, so we got the fuel lines hooked up in the back, and hopefully we can get this thing to run off the fuel in the tank now. So I got my bottle filled up with fuel here. I'm gonna hook it back up here and run the carburetor. I got this line over here coming from my pump into that bottle. So what we want to do, we want to start the car up. We want to look for fuel being pumped in that bottle. Being pumped in that bottle, then we know the fuel pump's working okay, and we should be able to get it started. So let me hook this bottle here up to the carburetor, and then we'll get it started up and make sure our bottle fills up. All right, let's go. Put that up there. Okay. Where's the key? Come on. All whack. gas. We're hoping for fuel to start spraying in that bottle right there. From the tank. I got the back end jacked up. It may not do it with the back end jacked up in the air. I don't know. Still waiting on it. Well, I think I'm going to have to let it down off the jack before it's going to work. Yeah, we're getting nothing. Nothing. Well, ran out of gas. Still hadn't done it. All right, I'm going to have to let it down off the jack so we can get the fuel more level in the tank, I guess. Hold on. All right, guys. Let me get this thing off the mount a minute. So we got the car off of the jack stands. We got it sitting level now. And I got my bottle here coming from the pump, and I got my bottle over there that I'm gonna hang off my hood. It's got a little bit of fuel in it. See that? To get the car started. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to do something in addition to that. So the car's sitting level now or flat. I'm going to have my friend George back here. Say hi, George.
Hey.
All right, what he's going to do, he's going to take this air hose, and there's a rag right here, and he's going to wrap that rag around that air hose, and he's going to put, oh, it's stuck. He's going to put this nozzle in the tank, and he's going to blow that rag around there and put some pressure inside the tank when I tell him to, and then hopefully that's going to push fuel out the tank, up the line to the front of the car, and get the pump going. So let's see if that helps. Hopefully between that and the car sitting level, we should get fuel at the fuel pump. So I got to start the car up first. Got to put this thing back on the mount here. All right. Now we're going to zoom in here a little bit. We're going to start the car up, and we want to watch the bottle there. Watch the bottle there to see if we get fuel going into that bottle. All right, let me start the car up. All right, got lots of fuel. Better shut it off. We got fuel running on the floor. We got fuel going everywhere. Yeah. Okay. Okay, that worked. Did you blow air into it?
Yeah.
Yep. See? I'll zoom back out here. Zoom. There we go. We got almost a full bottle of fuel. So now we got fuel coming from the pump to the or coming from the tank to the pump. Okay.
Where's your cap?
On the floor.
I'm gonna put the cap back on it.
Yep. You go ahead and do that. Put the cap back on. All right, guys, I'm going to pause in a minute because I got to unhook all the other stuff, the bottle fed part, and hook my lines back down to my pump. So let me get that done real quick, and then we'll start it up and see how she does. All right, I'll be right back. All right, guys. We got the fuel line hooked up. That was kind of a pain in the butt to do. And yeah, when I pulled the fuel line off that went from the pump up to that bottle I had sitting up here, when I pulled that fuel line off, fuel was just running out of that pump. I got a big puddle of fuel on the ground now, so hopefully I won't have no fires. That'd be bad. But I think we'll be okay. Let's start it up and see if she runs. Let's see what happens. got her fixed. She's running now. So we got that problem taken care of. Actually, I think it almost sounds to me like it's running better than it ever has. So them fuel lines may have had little cracks in them and been sucking air for a while, but it's going now. It's all brand new, all brand new fuel lines on it, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. And my rear end, my rear end was leaking. You know, I told you before I had a rear end leak. My rear end was leaking, right? My rear axle was leaking. That's been fixed now, so that's one thing that was seeping a little bit. That's been fixed on this car, so I just keep working on it. It's still for sale though, if anybody wants to buy it. But those two things are fixed. So, and one thing I want to tell you is on the rear axle, I think it's got a little tag that says 3.21. That's 321 gears in it. And the way if you don't have that tag on there, the way to tell that is to count the number of teeth on the ring gear
and then count the number of teeth on the pinion gear and divide the number of teeth on the pinion gear into the number of teeth on the ring gear. Well, I counted this one. It's got 45 teeth on the ring gear and 14 teeth on the pinion gear. So if you divide 14 into 45, it goes exactly 3.21 times, 3.21 and some other numbers. But so that's correct. It's got a 321 gear in it, which really is a good gear. I mean, that's a good, you know, you can still drive on the highway, but it's still got a little bit of pep to it. So I like that gear. Unfortunately, it's a one-legger. I wish it was a, you know, a positive traction or sure grip, as Mopar likes to call it. But 321 gear is not a bad gear. All right, guys, I appreciate you watching. So we got the Roadrunner off the bottle, and she's fixed and running now. So stay tuned, keep in touch. We'll talk to you later. All right, bye.